Hey there, welcome to a video discussing the Week 1 NFL DFS slate for the 2020 season. Um, if you're on the West Coast, hopefully you're doing okay with all the fires and air quality. Here in Northern California, it's been pretty bad. Um, we shall see if the 49ers game will be played this weekend. That's something else to consider with our DFS builds. So one site I'm going to point you guys towards is Advanced Sports Analytics. I do some work for this site. I also have my own blog at sportsmanac.com, and I'll also will publish my article discussing the DFS site for Week 1. So this is a great tool because this kind of gives you projections, gives you some other analysis that can help in your builds. For example, if I click on the quick slant projections, I have that window open over here. And you can see that I've selected quarterbacks for FanDuel. Lamar Jackson, understandably, would be your highest rated quarterback. Um, can't go wrong with Russell Wilson. Hopefully, a shootout in Atlanta. Matt Ryan could be another good option. In fact, if I sort by predicted FanDuel points, you do see that Matt Ryan's definitely there in the top 5. Russell Wilson, obviously, number 2. And never hurts to actually look at the daily lines. We do see that one of the highest over-unders from the Vegas spreads is Seattle-Atlanta with a close point spread. So that kind of insinuates that we should have a hopefully a close and high-scoring game. We do see one of the lowest totals is Buffalo, New York. So the Buffalo defense might be something we might want to eye. Of course, the New England defense, they were hot at the start of last season, but Ryan Fitzpatrick is a true wild card. Tampa, New Orleans, another good line there. Arizona SF, but again, I'm not sure that game's going to happen given the air quality in the Bay Area. Baltimore should pretty much run through Cleveland, so that's something else to kind of keep an eye on. Carolina, Las Vegas. So never hurts to kind of look at those lines before you do your builds. Another thing we're going to keep an eye out for is how we're going to take advantage of the news that Miles Sanders is not playing. So Boston Scott pretty much jumps at us as a chalky play, but we probably want to eat that chalk. For $4,700 in FanDuel and for getting potentially 20 carries or more, or 20 touches, just the value is way too good to pass up. But what's going to be the core of our lineup? So we could go Lamar Jackson. You could also go Christian McCaffrey, who's obviously very expensive. You could go Michael Thomas. No way we're going to get all three of those guys, but consistently those three were the top of their positions. Tight end, there is George Kittle going against the Arizona defense, which ranked dead last against tight ends. I always find that something of a crapshoot. Tight end defenses, like maybe the linebacker's not as good, but a little hard to kind of read that sometimes. But Mark Andrews does look like someone I may want to go with. I like Zach Ertz, but doesn't correlate well with Carson Wentz. And speaking of correlation, this is actually a great tool on the Advanced Sports Analytics site. So if I do FanDuel, and if I select a Baltimore quarterback, which obviously is going to be Lamar Jackson, and I want to see how it correlates with Baltimore tight end, which is over here, mostly will be Mark Andrews, and apply those changes. So we kind of wait to see what happens. Sometimes it takes a little while to run through the correlation app. But in the meantime, while that's happening, another great tool is defense versus position apps, which you can find on a lot of different sites. So here I selected quarterback and tight ends, and for the columns, I put fantasy points for pass attempts, fantasy points per target, and I could do this for FanDuel if I would like. And we do see that Cleveland was second worst against tight ends last year. I don't think they really made too many improvements on their defense. For quarterbacks, for fantasy points per pass attempt, Miami was pretty bad, but that was really the first half of the season. They're really bad. Arizona, if you think Jimmy Garoppolo's low ownership play. You do see Cleveland is positive, so plus it is Lamar Jackson. Let's see if our correlation app ran. It did. And we do see a very strong correlation between Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews, 0.579. Mark Andrews in his second season, probably playing for a bigger contract, definitely showed improvement from rookie year to second year, was a Pro Bowler. If you're at profootballreference.com, this is a great site to use. You can actually look at game logs, splits. You can look at fantasy outputs. So last year, if we rank by or sort by opponent, we see against Cleveland, he did have a pretty solid game against them when they won 31-15 in Cleveland back in December. If you look at Lamar Jackson, the guy's an absolute beast. And you have to be thinking, seeing what Patrick Mahomes got paid, and Mahomes winning a Super Bowl last year, a lot of Lamar Jackson would have been the Super Bowl winner. Going into his third year, Mahomes got paid after his third year, so you would imagine that Lamar Jackson would be highly motivated to turn his $10 million contract into a $500 million contract. So that's something to keep an eye out for. He may have just come out of the gates swinging. So let's click on here. Takes a little while, and if we hit opponent, sort by opponent, yeah, I mean, he put up some great numbers against Cleveland last year. So that's something to kind of think about. So I probably would start my build with Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews. And tight end will go right here. Then for defense, I do like the Chargers going as a rookie quarterback, but Joe Burrow's is not too shabby, and also the fact that rookie quarterbacks sometimes have done well in their first games. Not a big fan of Sam Darnold. I'm actually an anti-USC fan. Sorry for the USC Trojans, if you like them. But I'm going to go Buffalo there. Also, given the point spreads, it has the lowest over-under with 6.5 favorite for Buffalo in Buffalo. I'm really liking the Buffalo defense to do well. We could do the projections, which will tell you how Buffalo might perform. AC Buffalo is ranked pretty high. Does have Carolina ranked high, which I find a little questionable, but sometimes early season projections we gotta take it with a grain of salt. So that's where I would go with that. Now the other cool thing about the projections, if you click on player inputs, and by the way, game macros will also tell you over-unders and spreads. So kind of all in one place. You can get weather here, actives, inactives. So great stuff here for sure. If I click on wide receivers, and we have some of these advanced metrics like average depth of target, we have air yards, we have like market share for rushes, market share for targets. So if you look at some of the receivers who rank high in market share for targets, Thielen kind of jumps out, the low-priced player, especially with Stephon Diggs in Buffalo. Julian Edelman's another one, especially with no Gronkowski, and maybe Cam Newton will go to him early and often. We do see Keenan Allen's another great option. Terry McLaurin's another one. Terry McLaurin's another one I like. Quarterback is his college teammate, Dwayne Haskins. So you figure, their second year together in the pros, that might pay dividends. Marvin Jones with no Kenny Galladay is doubtful. That's another one you can go with. So for receivers, not going to overspend, but I think I'm definitely going to get some guys who are going to get involved heavily in their offenses. So I'll definitely throw in Thielen and Edelman and McLaurin. So now I'm down to my running backs, and I have 18,500 left. I did talk about Boston Scott. That's going to be our we're going to save some money. So Boston Scott for 4,700 on FanDuel. I really like Austin Eckler of the Chargers, given the fact that there's no Melvin Gordon. So it leaves me with 6,100 left. And at this point, we could do a little bit of savings for 6,100. Who we got available here for us? You could go Marlon Mack. Not sure if I like him so much, especially with Jonathan Taylor. The rookie running back is supposed to take over the reins. So we could do a little drop here. Maybe we don't do Edelman. Maybe we go with Marvin Jones. And if I scroll down to Marvin Jones to 6,200, and then I could take Kenny Drake. Yes, he's going against the Niners defense, who was who were very good and should still be very good. But Kendricks should be getting a lot of carries also, and he is a very talented running back. Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins are very, very solid. So there'll be a lot of tension there. So we like Drake a lot for someone who's getting a lot of touches. So think volume. Lamar Jackson touches the ball a lot, runs the ball. Actually, let's take a look at some of his game logs really quickly. So we are banking on Lamar Jackson having a big day for us. And if we look at last year, ranked by opponents, actually sort by opponent, and we look at Cleveland, I mean, he threw for 3 touchdowns, has several, 5 touchdown games. In fact, I'm counting 3 5-touchdown games. I mean, the guy runs. I mean, you're talking about he had 5 games with at least 100 rushing yards. You are going to get that bonus on DraftKings. Think about that too. Doesn't get the 300 passing yards so much, but that's okay. He does make up for throwing touchdowns. And if he does correlate with Mark Andrews. Cleveland does rank pretty low against tight ends. So I think this is all going to be really good for us. So we have receivers that are going to get quite a bit of targets. We got a nice stack between Lamar Jackson and Andrews. We got running backs that are heavily involved, and we have a solid defense. So this is a FanDuel lineup we'll go with. On DraftKings, we could probably do something similar. We go Lamar Jackson and locate Mark Andrews and go the Buffalo defense, which actually is the highest, most expensive defense there. For our flex, let's get in Boston Scott at 4,800. For receivers, let's see what we can get for receiver here. So we could probably go Thielen, and scroll down a little bit. Marvin Jones at 5,500, and Terry McLaurin. I could search for him at 5,600. So we got 9,600 left. Not terribly much. Austin Eckler is at 7,000, so we're not leaving ourselves much money left. So we could try going Drake, I suppose. And then we really don't have much money left, so we have to be a little bit frugal here. So let's go back and put Boston Scott in there and see if we can get a flex at 3,200. It's going to be pretty much slim pickings. Yeah, not really exciting options. But we could probably do a little drop here. Maybe we don't do Thielen, and maybe we go a different receiver. So there's a lot of different plays we could do here. One option is maybe Ruggs of the Las Vegas Raiders. Weird saying that. Neil Sanders of the Saints. DK Metcalf is one I kind of like a lot. Maybe we save a little money at quarterback. Maybe we go Russell Wilson. And then for my flex, I could probably go Ronald Jones. I could probably even do a little savings on defense, maybe Chargers. I was kind of talking about them. So now I'm actually have more money left. You could go Gurley, Boyd. A lot of different options here. So I wish you guys luck, and we will check in after week 1, see how we did, look at some of the top lineups, and then move on to week 2. So football's back. Enjoy, and of course, be safe out there if you're on the West Coast.